What's going on, folks? Happy holidays. Thanks for checking out a brand new episode of Toys and Tech of the Trade, your one-stop shop for toys, tech, and talk with some assembly required. I'm your host, Rich, and if this is your first time checking out an episode, first of all, welcome. Second, a bit about what we do here. Toys and Tech of the Trade is an interview series where we sit down with content creators, entrepreneurs, and just awesome folks that are on our radar to discuss the gadgets, gear, and tech that they use to run their business, create content, and more importantly, be more productive. Now, when it comes to the toys aspect of this podcast, it's not just what action figures you're into or Funko Pops or things of that nature. We look at toys in a more general sense. So that car collection, those records you have, those are your toys. That's what you're passionate about. And those are the things that we like to talk about here because it allows us to break up a lot of the business and entrepreneurial conversation we have and get to know our guests on a more personal level. And who doesn't like to geek out about the stuff they're passionate about? Whether, like I said, it's Funko Pops or action figures, etc., we definitely embrace all of that here. Now, with that out of the way, this week's episode is a little special. It has been highly requested every year, and it is our gift guide for 2022, whether it's for yourself, the entrepreneur, the creator, or someone else that's special in your life that you're unsure about what to get for them. I'm going to give you a couple of different picks that I have when it comes to gift giving. And like I said, maybe you want to get that for yourself or for someone that's in your life that is an entrepreneur or a creator. With that said, let's jump right into our 2022 Toys and Tech of the Trade gift guide. So I want to kick things off with a gift that you wouldn't think would be important, but as many of us start our passion projects, entrepreneurial endeavors, or are just trying to promote our business, we run into something that is a lost art form that has been revolutionized as of late to just be something unique, and that is the business card. Now, we all know and struggle with this all the time, making new business cards or business cards for our little projects, etc., and it's always trying to load up Canva or trying to use some default design or just relying on the age-old credit card sized business card that you hand to folks that people may or may not keep, and it's wash, rinse, and repeat. But during a recent podcasting event I attended, I saw somebody was handing out an NFC-based business card, had their logo on it, they scanned it, and when the person would scan it, it would give you the person's information, their contact information, and it would give you almost a mini website of pertinent links, things like that, and a bio. And I thought that it was just very cool and very forward thinking because almost every phone nowadays has an NFC tag. And if it doesn't, it has a QR code reader built in. So you can easily give your information to anybody either with a tap or just by scanning a QR code. And the thing about it was that it eliminates the necessity to carry a bunch of business cards, or sometimes you're just in a situation where you don't even have cards on you. Maybe you're talking about what you're working on or a passion project at the gym or someplace else where you don't have a card on you. And I came across a company called Dot. They do the Dot card, and they do both a regular card, a plastic-looking business card, or they do also small tags you can stick on your phone. And real easy, the card has whatever color you want, and you can put a QR code on the back, and you can either tap it to someone's phone to load up all of your information that you can set up on your Dot profile, or better yet, they can scan the QR code if they don't have NFC enabled on their phone for whatever reason, and it'll yield the same results. It'll auto-populate all of your information. They'll see what you're working on, pertinent websites, socials, whatever you choose to build on your little Dot page. And the thing about it is, it's not expensive. I think my Dot card, because I only just opted for the card and not the small little stickers or tags, ran me $20. There was a coupon code. And the thing about it was, I think I paid $15 total. And that's more or less what I pay to run business cards sometimes, depending on whether I go through Staples or any of the usual places to get business cards. Not to mention trying to come up with a cool design and all this other stuff. It's time consuming, it's tedious, and most times, like I said, the card ends up in the garbage. So picked up a Dot card, have used it for the last month and a half, and it has been outstanding. I've been in different places, and people will ask me what I do, and I explain to them, billionaire, philanthropist, superhero. No, I'm kidding. But all jokes aside, when I talk about podcasting or content creation or what we do at the RageWorks Network, people are like, hey, I have somebody who might be interested, or I know someone. Do you happen to have a card on you? And it's always in the most awkwardest of places, like at the gym, or maybe I'm talking to somebody in a store I frequent that I just built a personal relationship with. So now it's either the dot card that I can just pull out of my wallet real quick, or again, adding that extra layer. If I had the dot sticker, I could just have them tap my phone, which is always with me, and boom, they'd get that information the same way. I just thought it was a cool concept. And again, it's one of those things that you don't think you really need it, but I didn't realize how invaluable it was. And full disclosure, Dot isn't giving me anything. I'm not getting any sort of affiliate relationship out of it. I just thought it was a cool product that I would include in this year's gift guide because it has truly been invaluable. And like I said, you can doctor up your Dot profile any way you want to promote whatever business you have, whatever side project you have. You could have different Dot profiles for different things. The possibilities are endless, and it's, less than $20 in most cases. So definitely check that out, and we will include a link for that in the show notes for this episode. So one of the things that a lot of us have been dealing with, especially those of us that are working from home or have worked from home, is getting a good workspace. And the thing about it is, as we start doing more content creation, take more Zoom calls, et cetera, our desks become completely cluttered. And the other thing is that the desks that we have just aren't conducive to how we work. Now, it's very easy for me to say, get yourself a standing desk. They're great. And yes, they are. But the thing about it is that they are expensive. Sometimes they do not, they're not able to hold up like multiple monitors or multiple things that we have on our desks. We want something durable. We want something long lasting. And over the last few years, I've been seeing a variety of creators recommending a Husky tool bench. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why would I want a tool bench or a workbench? And the thing about it is that the Husky bench is a nice, thick, almost butcher block surface. It is completely coated, and you're able to raise it and lower it while you only can do it with a hand crank and not with any sort of buttons or electronics. It can hold up to, I believe it's 300 pounds, which is tremendous. I actually have two of them here in my home studio, one which is used for my main desk, which is about 5 feet long, and then one that's a little shorter that's used as a secondary desk that I have in an L configuration. And the thing about it is that it has wheels. I'm able to roll it around. I have all of my lights clipped to it. I have my cameras clipped to it. So I can just change up my studio space, my desk space, any way I want very easily just by unlocking the wheels, rolling it around, and turning a crank and raising or lowering the desk. Now, obviously, those of you that don't want to deal with any sort of hand crank situation, there is a little hack you can use. You can actually stick a drill bit in there. And if you have a drill bit, or if you have a drill, or an impact driver laying around, you can just press it and it'll zoom up or down however you see fit. But I got to tell you guys, it costs about the same amount as it would cost you to spend for, an IKEA butcher block and the Alex drawers, etc. And the thing about it is that I still have Alex drawers here in the studio space, and all I did was just roll them right under the desk. I raised the desk a little bit, and it's been invaluable. As I said, it can take a beating. I can stand on it. I can, throw stuff on it easily. And the thing about it is that it's comparable in cost to what you would spend on a typical standing desk, but obviously more durable. Now, the other side of the coin is if you wanted to, you can get just the standing desk grid, just the frame with the motor, and then throw your own tabletop on it. But again, a butcher block is going to run you, a good heavy duty one's going to run you between $100, $150, depending on where you go. Not to mention the cost of the frame, which can be anywhere from $150 to $250. So, like I said, the Husky workbenches, they're durable. You can get them at your local Home Depot. and they definitely check off a lot of boxes. So definitely something I want to endorse and recommend. Like I said, either for your own work from home setup, or maybe you have somebody who likes to tinker in their garage and you want to give them a nice workspace. These are really, really nice. And to add a little extra to it, if you have a Harbor Freight close by, you can pick up a magnetic power strip and you can stick it right to the desk. And that has been great because the magnetic power strips from Harbor Freight actually have 2 USB ports and I believe it's 6 outlets underneath. And again, they're magnetic. You can stick them right to the metal frame or right under the desk to the metal portion of the desk. And right there, you have just power right on at your fingertips and it just works. And again, very, very, very easy on the wallet for the most part. I'll include links for that. I'll even include links for the Harbor Freight power strip because again, it's something that you wouldn't think is useful, but boy, oh boy, if you have a metal framed workbench, it is clutch. Now, this could easily be thought of as something for podcasters, but as more and more of us rely on Zoom and different types of software to do meetings, Microsoft Teams, it amazes me how much a good microphone really changes the dynamic of your calls, your podcasts, everything. And it's easy to use your built-in microphone or some cheapo mic, but spending a couple of bucks on a microphone really can change your audio delivery, whether it's for your podcast, your live streams, whatever the case may be. And I usually rely on the old standard, which was the Audio-Technica ATR 2100. Since then, I've recommended more so the Samson Q2U. You can find it between 60 and 70 bucks. It is probably one of the best investments you can make. Not only is it compatible with XLR, so you can plug it into a mixer or an audio interface, but you can also use it via USB to just plug it right in and use it on your Zoom calls, your live streams, whatever. And like I said, it just really takes your audio up a notch. It's easy to use. It's durable. It takes a beating. If you want to up your ante a little bit, got a couple more bucks to spare, you can use the Rode PodMic, which I like. We use a lot of Rode products here at Rageworks Studios, and the Rode PodMic is nice. It's usually about $100. It's a step up, and it definitely delivers. The only thing is, it's an XLR mic only, so you cannot use it via USB, and you have to run it into an audio interface or a mixer to get the full benefit. I know that there are XLR to USB converters, but my experiences with them have not been great. And a lot of people have been recommending the Shure MV7. Shure, always a leader in the space. People love Shure microphones. They're always quick to talk about, the big Shure heavy hitters when it comes to podcasts and content creation. But if it's one thing I tell people is, level up gradually, use what's in your budget. The MV7 is nice. There's a USB version, there's a USB and XLR version, there's an XLR only version. So you have a couple of different options to choose from, but please take a moment and level up your microphones. Trust me, it's one of the easiest things to do and it doesn't cost much and it'll just make you sound better. And who doesn't want to sound better? On the visual side of things, there's a couple of different schools of thought. Obviously, a good webcam is always good. Stop relying on the webcams that are built in your laptops. They're good, but you can get a nice USB-C type webcam. I still have the good old Logitech C920. I use it only in like the most remotest of situations, but there was one that came on the scene recently from Elgato, which is the Elgato Facecam and Facecam Pro, which are very good. Really good picture, really good video quality, and just, again, an easy upgrade. There's also one that was put out recently that was, it was a webcam on a gimbal from Insta360, which I thought was incredibly promising, but definitely on the upper tier. I think it's going for about $300. But listen, you can pick up a C920 sometimes for less than $100. Do yourselves a favor, get yourselves a decent webcam just to have just a better presentation. And it's just going to make it easier for you to jump on Zoom calls, do live streams, whatever the case may be, with just a reliable camera. Now, if you want to really take it to the next level, you can pick up something like a Sony ZV-E10, which is what I use for my webcam on a lot of my calls and a lot of my live streams. you can use Sony's built-in software, but I actually run it via HDMI into an Elgato capture card, and I can use that and give just crispy, clear, beautiful video. I get to use whatever lenses I have close by. In this case, I use a 16 millimeter lens from Sigma to deliver an amazing, amazing picture. And I just, again, that's the extreme recommendation, but budget recommendation. You can't go wrong with a Logitech C920. As always, links will be in the show notes. Now, obviously, whether you're a content creator or an entrepreneur, etc., you got your microphone, you got your camera. What's next? Lighting. Let me tell you, lighting is something that I didn't come to appreciate until I started doing more video. It's a big pain to try and get like the ideal lighting situation. You can go 3-point lighting, which is, as the name implies, 3 lights that you can use, and you can get good systems for like $50. But the easiest and best way to get good light is by being near a window and getting natural light. So if you can record or live stream or whatever from a good window, you can get some beautiful natural light. But one of the easiest things that I did to improve the lighting in my office was I used to be a big believer in the Philips Hue light system, but as much as nice as it is, it's very expensive. Sometimes it doesn't connect, and it's just very, very finicky when it wants to be. And I like Philips. I like Philips Hue. I like what they do. But I'll tell you, when it doesn't want to work, it is a massive pain. So what I started doing was I actually started using light bulbs from the company Wyze, which is WYZE. Wyze does a bunch of stuff. They do small little cameras that you can use to watch your home, similar to Ring or Google Nest. They're solid. You can pick up some Nest cameras for less than $50 in some cases, and they do the job. I actually have one as a baby monitor in my daughter's room, and then I have my home surrounded by Wyze cameras, and I use a Wyze home security system paired with the cameras. And again, it's all budget solutions, but they really, really work. But the thing about it was that I didn't want to keep using Philips Hue. I wanted something that didn't rely on a brain, meaning like Philips Hue, you need to have the set top box to pair with all the bulbs. It's like I said, it's just costly, and the bulbs themselves are not that cheap. So I saw a few videos, and then a few people recommended getting some Wyze bulbs. Number one, because they're brighter. Number two, because they don't require some sort of central interface to work. And number three, they just deliver. And I picked up 2. I believe 2 of them ran me $30, so about $15 a bulb at my local Micro Center. But you can pick them up, at the usual suspects. And I got to tell you, really beautiful, bright light. I was able to adjust the brightness as I saw fit. I have them in my ceiling fan, and it's a 3-bulb ceiling fan, and I'm able to dim one bulb or change the color of one, and it really just levels up just the lighting for your videos and everything. And it's not expensive. Again, you can buy dedicated 3-point lighting systems, but for me to recommend that, that's me presuming that you just have a ton of money to spend. But Wyze bulbs get the job done. They're easy on the wallet. And the thing about it is they pair with all of your usual home assistants. And I have now 3, 4, 5. I have 10 bulbs, 10 Wyze bulbs in different rooms. And I've had no complaints. They always connect and they just work. So definitely big cosign for Wyze and their stuff. Again, these folks aren't paying me. These are just things I recommend. But full disclosure, some of the stuff I do talk about that I link in the show notes will have affiliate links, which if you click, we will get a small commission. Just want to keep that out there. Now, one thing that I want to talk about, and people don't put enough stock on this, is services. Now, you can go out there and buy people tangible gifts, but maybe it's just services that you want to give people. And if you're a content creator, one of the services I like to recommend is Descript. Descript allows you to transcribe audio, video, and you can even do editing within the service, which is tremendous. You can get transcripts for your podcasts, your videos, your live streams, and the editing is seamless and it just works. And the thing about it is that you're probably saying to yourself, yeah, but I can do the same thing with Adobe Audition, or I can do it with Audacity, or whatever the case may be. But we're thinking about instances where you just want something quick and simple. Maybe you just want to edit something for TikTok or Instagram or a YouTube short, and you don't want to just fire up the computer and do all the crazy edits. Then I got to tell you, Descript really, really works. And for those of you that are, mobile content creators, big cosign to CapCut and LumaFusion, which are both great to edit on your tablets or mobile devices. CapCut actually is available also as a desktop application, I believe, on the Mac. I saw the announcement and I had downloaded it, but I didn't get to work on it. But I got to tell you, the services like Descript and some of these others are incredibly beneficial, especially if you're trying to really take your content to a new level, whether it's audio, video, etc., social. You're definitely going to want something that you can pick up and rock and roll with a very non-steep learning curve. Because again, a lot of the stuff that we are inclined to use, if there's too many steps or it's just aggravating to get it up and running, sometimes that can kill the creative process faster than anything else. You can have a brain full of ideas, but if your editing or anything else is frustrating or aggravating or any of the above, you're just not going to do it. So definitely services like Descript, CapCut, LumaFusion, all solid. If you're a podcaster, there's, services like Riverside FM or a couple of others that pretty much will allow you to do a multiple guest or host podcast with just a few clicks. And best of all, they'll have audio and video ready for you to download and edit at a moment's notice. Subscriptions like that for the creatives in your life or even for yourself are invaluable. Switching gears a little bit, there's something that a lot of us take for granted as creators, and you never know how much you need it until you don't have it. And that is a dependable power source. More often than not, we're running around creating, recording, taking photos, taking videos. And sometimes it's, hey, you jump into your car, you plug in your device and you're off to the races. But what about those times when you're not near your car? Are you going to be one of those people that's going to run around with their charger looking for a plug or looking for a place to plug in to charge their device, their local Starbucks, whatever? It wasn't until the last 2 years that I've really come to appreciate the usage of portable batteries or battery banks. More often than not, whether it's for myself or if my daughter's with me or something else, there's always a need for extra power. And there's been plenty of instances where we're driving, maybe all the USB ports are being used, whether it's myself for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or my wife is using a port, or we have a guest with us and they're charging. Nothing is more important than having some reliable battery bank solutions that you can keep with you, whether it's in your everyday carry or whether it's in a sling bag, whatever the case may be. It's really invaluable. And the thing about it is there's so many multi-use varieties available, whether it's a battery bank that can jumpstart your car, which I have one of those. It has saved my behind on more than one occasion. But funny enough, I was actually pitched a battery bank by a very unexpected company, and that company is Shell. Now, if you know Shell, Shell is gas station, but they've actually been venturing into consumer electronics over the last year or so. And they reached out to me and they're like, hey, we got this portable charger. It's 20-watt dual-way quick charge power delivery system that we got that really just delivers the goods when it comes to charging devices. You can charge your tablets, you can charge your devices. And I said, you know what? Let me check it out. So I've had it for the last month or so, and I've been using it pretty much exclusively as a backup. And the thing about it is you get 2 USB-C ports and actually, not 2 USB-C ports. You get a Type-C, you get a micro USB, and you get a USB Type-A. And more importantly, you have the ability to charge multiple devices at once. And the thing about it, for me at least, has been the fact that it's really saved my butt on more than one occasion. We were out taking Christmas photos with my daughter, and we went afterwards and we're walking through an area where they do like a Christmas light display. and you're taking video, and before you know it, your battery is dying. And I'm like, man, I wish that I had a way to juice up. So I had to run back to the car. Luckily, I kept it in a bag I keep in the car, and sure enough, plugged it in, used a quick charge port that's on there, which is 18 watts, and I was up and running, able to do all the videos and photos of the entire experience. And now, of course, you're probably saying, well, Rich, your wife has a camera and that's fine. But, you want to capture candids. I can take pictures of my kid while my wife is taking pictures of the lights, etc. Definitely save my butt. Also, instances, like I said, where I got all the ports in the car in use. I can use it to charge up my daughter's iPad on the drive home, and she can watch her shows or whatever she's watching, and boom, it just saves my butt. And if you're covering conventions, especially now that the world is starting to get back to somewhat normal, that if you're in a press pit and you're trying to plug in or you're trying to record a podcast interview, it's nothing worse than running out of battery or not being able to charge your wireless microphones, things like that, where battery banks or power banks are invaluable. So big props to the fine folks at Shell for sending me this. We weren't compensated for the review of the product. It really works very well, and we'll link to it in the show notes. But having a battery bank in general is just a solid investment. Like I said, you got some that can jumpstart your car, put air in your tires. The technology's come a long way, and having one on you is invaluable. So definitely a big recommendation. Lately I've been filming my, some of my workouts in the gym, only because, I have some people I trust that I can have them review my form, look at some of my technique, make sure I'm doing things right. And I don't want to walk into the gym with a giant tripod. I hate that. It's just one of those things where you run the risk of somebody tripping. You want something small, compact, out of the way, not something that gets attention. And big shout out to Pat Flynn for the SwitchPod, which I've talked about before in previous gift guides. I've talked about it on previous podcasts, but the SwitchPod is a great portable tripod. It folds flat. It goes in your gym bag without a problem. It can go in a pair of shorts without a problem, and super thin, folded open, instant tripod. You can throw your camera or your phone right on it, and it's just out of the way. I used it to record a training session, and somebody walked by and they're like, what the hell is that? I've never seen that before. And next thing you know, I'm telling the person about it. They're going to right online and ordering their own for their workouts, and they were very, very impressed with the quality. And I got to tell you, I've beat the hell out of the SwitchPod. It's dumbbells have fallen on it. It's just, it's taken a beating, and it's just a quality piece of tech from a fellow podcaster and entrepreneur like Pat Flynn. So definitely check it out. It'll run you about $100, but again, probably the only small portable tripod you'll ever need. The only other alternative to it that really impressed me with its features is the Mantis Pod, which, much like the SwitchPod, just durable, small, unobtrusive. And I think that when you're out filming, whether it's in the gym or just filming content anywhere, when people see like giant cameras, giant tripods, they really get on edge, especially as of late. And people just they don't like it. They have questions. What are you filming? Why are you filming? But if you just throw your phone on a little tiny tripod and you throw it on a table, yeah, people will walk by, but they don't know if you're on a call or something else, and they rarely raise an eyebrow, so to speak, versus having a camera, a full-on camera. And don't get me wrong, even my cameras, I use a lot of Sony cameras, the ZV-E10, which I've talked about, and the A6400, and they're not big. But if I throw like a 18, an 18 to 250 lens or something crazy on there, it's going to make people look and notice, because they're going to be like, wow, what's he doing? Why does he have that big lens? Why does he have that big camera? Versus, SwitchPod, throwing my phone on there, boom, recording a quick video. If I'm recording a training session to share with somebody, or a coach, or a fellow lifter to get some critiques or advice, it comes in handy. And it's easy on the wallet. It's portable. You can throw it in your pocket. You can throw it in your gym bag or your backpack. And you never know. You run into an instance where it's incredibly valuable. One other recommendation that really has multiple purposes is thanks to TikTok of all places. It's a set of wall lights. They're called the Cupola wall lights, and they're great because you can mount the base of the light on the wall, and it has a magnetic ball that attaches to the light. You can charge these lights via USB, and they're really nice spotlights that you can just, use them to point at your collectibles, add some ambient lighting. Just very, very cool. And I said to myself, these can't be that bright or these can't look that cool. But I ended up getting a set of them, and I actually have them over some statues, some Dragon Ball Z pieces and some Street Fighter pieces that I have here in my office. And it just looks really nice, like a nice spotlight to add a little bit of lighting. It's cool for the background where you're doing certain calls and you want to maybe add a little focus or a little extra light. Really great, really easy on the wallet. And I was blown away by how premium they feel. And they're incredibly solid. Again, props to TikTok and a lot of different creators that were showing these lights. And I said, you know what? I should get a set. And fellow YouTube creator, Random Frank P, he ended up actually having them in one of his recent videos as well. And I said, this is clearly the universe speaking to me to pick up a set of these lights. And I am glad I did. The last thing I want to recommend, we are heading into the end of the year. It's resolutions. We all want to be healthy. We all want to make sure that we're our best selves for the new year. And I've been very, very adamant about getting in better shape, just taking better care of myself as a parent. I've talked about before, and I've mentioned it in passing about my mom passing away when I was fairly young, and what that did to me, how that changed my life, etc. But I'm a firm believer that you got to take care of yourself, and you got to use whatever tools you have accessible to hold yourself accountable. And the thing about it is, I'm not going to come on here and tell you, use this app, use this, eat like this. It's just not the way. But one of the easiest things you can do is get yourself a mirror, see how your clothes fit. Are they looser? Are they tighter? And that's definitely a great gauge. But I started really taking more accountability, weighing myself. So I weigh myself a couple times a week. And I used to write my weights in a notebook just to keep track of everything with training and everything else. And everybody was like, they got all these smart scales you compare with your phone, blah, blah, blah. And again, props to Wise. They did a Wise scale and it was on sale at Micro Center. And I said, you know what? It's $20. Let me check it out. And if it sucks, whatever. If it doesn't, it is what it is. So I picked up a Wise scale and weigh myself every day, and it tracks my weight and it pairs it with, Apple Health, and I'm able to track my weight. I'm down about 60 pounds. And the thing about it is that just something so simple as you get up, make sure you're empty. Obviously, you stand on the scale, takes a second, goes on your phone, and there you have some accountability. Like, hey, I'm losing weight. Maybe I'm retaining a little water, etc. It gives you a bunch of other measurements, which obviously are questionable to say the least. But the weight is all that matters. And, some days I'm heavier, some days I'm lighter. It's just a part of life. But it's a good way to kind of hold yourself accountable. I mean, you can track your diet and get your workouts in, whatever, but something so simple as a scale can be all it takes to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. Like I said, the mirror and how you feel is the greatest indicator, but any tools that can help you out on that journey are awesome. I was originally going to talk about a under-desk treadmill, but I was supposed to receive one that we were going to check out, and I didn't get it. And listen, it's getting colder here on the East Coast. After you have a meal, I'm a big believer in 10-minute walks. Shout out to Mark Bell and a couple of other people in the fitness world that talk about you eat a meal, you go out for a quick 10-minute walk. You do that a couple times a day, and it's invaluable. And I agree. But I also got to say that it is cold as hell. And some people will lose that motivation because they don't want to throw on their coat and go for a walk. Listen, you get yourself a little walking pad for $100, $150. You slap it under your desk. You walk while you're working, or you put it in your living room and you do a walk while you're watching your favorite show. It's just a nice way. Again, minimally effective dose, but something that speaks volumes, especially here on the East Coast as it gets very cold and people are less inclined to go outside. It takes a certain amount of discipline to go out there at 5 a.m. for a run or go out for that 10-minute walk. But listen, after you finish eating, if you want to just veg out, or maybe you just go for a walk. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and sharing a lot of their videos, but Tristan Tate shared something interesting a while back, and he said, one of the easiest things that I used to do was I used to do push-ups when I watched TV between commercial breaks. It didn't matter whether it was 10 or 20 or 50, just do whatever amount of push-ups you can in between each commercial break. And I'm like, that's about as easy as it gets. And I thought that it was just a very cool piece of advice that anyone can do. I mean, I'm not telling you to go and do push-ups between every break, but use that opportunity to get yourself moving and get yourself mobile, especially if you're working from home or you're sedentary or your job requires you to be sitting a lot. Find ways to get that movement in there because we're not getting any younger, folks. And I want to be around for the foreseeable future. So any little things I can do to move that along are clutch. All right. I think that's a nice mixture of different things that I'm recommending for this year's gift guide. I know that a lot of people have been asking about what gear we're using here in the studio. And I've talked about a couple of things like the Husky desk and the SwitchPod and the ZVE10 and some of those things. But I will do a separate episode, which is going to be the toys and tech of my trade. And I'm going to probably use that to close out the year. And we got some great guests on deck as well. So we got a few episodes left for 2022, and we're starting to really build towards 2023. If you enjoyed this episode and have any questions about any of the stuff we discussed, please do not hesitate to shoot me a message on social at RageWorks. Either myself or someone on the team will relay the message to me, and I will answer whatever questions I can. If you're interested in being a guest on a future episode of Toys and Tech of the Trade, you can email me, rich@rageworks.net. Last but not least, you can also visit our website. There's a contact form there, and you can fill that out as well to be a guest on this podcast or any of the other great shows on the RageWorks podcast network. Social media, you guys know where to find us. I'm not going to sit here and run down every single one of them. Punch in RageWorks. I'm sure there'll be a presence there that can give you your fix. The only thing I will say is for those of you exclusively wanting to keep up with our podcast content, the RageWorks podcast network does have its own dedicated accounts on Twitter and Instagram. So if you like all of our podcast content, then follow those accounts for that fix. For everything else about tech, gaming, pop culture, and everything else, you know where to find us. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. I hope you and your families have a great holiday season, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Toys and Tech of the Trade is part of the RageWorks podcast network, your source for rants about gaming, entertainment, and the works. Visit us at RageWorksNetwork.com.